In this video, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to idle, which is a program that is automatically installed when you install Python. If you've already installed Python on your system, you might have noticed this thing called idle that's also there. So idle is an integrated development environment, and that means that it's a number of different tools that you can use to write Python programs, and these tools are all combined into one program. So it's an integrated development environment. The tools that are a part of idle are things like the Python shell, the interactive Python shell. It's in there. There's a text editor that you can use to write Python programs and save them to your system. It gives you the ability to run Python programs. There's a debugger, and there's a number of different tools. In this video, we're simply going to take a look at how the Python shell works within idle, and how to use the text editor to write a program and save it to the system and then execute the program. Idle is a very simple program, and you might find it useful as you are learning to program in Python. I have idle running here on the screen. This is what it looks like when you start idle. You'll notice that we simply have a window with a menu bar at the top, and then inside the window we have the Python shell running. So the Python shell tells us the version of Python that we are running, and it displays some other text. And then we have this prompt. Here's the blinking cursor that's waiting for me to type in a Python command or a Python statement. These three greater than signs. It's sometimes called a chevron, but it's simply a prompt that is waiting for me to type a Python command. So I'm going to demonstrate it by calling the print function. I'll just type this statement, print hello world. And notice that when I press the enter key, the statement is immediately executed. So that's the nature of the Python shell. You type in a statement or a command, you press the enter key, and it automatically executes. So this is very helpful as you are learning the Python programming language, because it allows you to experiment and play with the Python commands and see how they work. You can do things like create variables. For example, I'm going to write a statement x equal 10, and I'll press the enter key, and what happened there was that we created a variable named x, and that variable is referencing an integer value, the value 10. So x references the value 10. And if I want to write another statement that calls the print function, I can print the value of x, and it displays 10. So the Python shell is a very useful interactive environment where you can experiment with different Python statements. Now, when you want to actually write a Python program, you need to open the text editor. And the way that you do that is you go to the File menu and you select New Window. And that opens a new window, which is actually a text editing window. And it's in this window that you'll write your Python program. So you'll write the program here, and then you'll save it to your system. So I'm going to just write a very simple program. I'll start with a comment that says, this is my first Python program. And this program is just going to be very simple. I'm going to have a print statement. I'm going to call the print function, and I'm going to print the message, I love to program in Python. So there's my program, although I didn't spell Python correctly. I'll fix that. So here's the program that I've written, and of course you realize that the difference between what I just did here in this window and what I did over here in the interactive shell is that in this window I'm just creating a text file. I'm creating a program that I'm going to save on the system, and then I can run the program later. So let's go ahead and save this program. I'll go to the File menu, and I'll click Save, and I'm going to call it my first program.py, and I'm just going to save it to the desktop here. Okay, so the program has been saved, and next I can run the program. So I'm going to go to the Run menu, and I'm going to click Run Module. Now when I do that, notice that it switches me back to the Python shell. So the program is going to run in the Python shell, but before it runs, notice that idle restarts the Python shell. We get this line that says restart. So what happens there is that every time you run a Python program in idle restarts the shell, which means that it's a clean copy of the shell. There are no variables or anything left over from what I was doing previously. This is just a clean, brand new copy of the shell, and it runs the program in that copy of the shell. And you see the output of the program, I love to program in Python. You might have noticed that as I was typing code in the editor that words appear in different colors, and there's actually some rhyme or reason to what these colors represent. When you type a comment, as is the first line of this program, comments appear in the color red. And when you call a built-in function like the print function, that function name appears in this purple color. String literals appear in a green color, and there are other colors that are used for different things in the editor. For example, keywords. I don't have any keywords in this program, but keywords are displayed in orange. These colors are customizable. You can go in and change the color scheme. This is simply the default color scheme. But the reason for this is that once you learn what these colors are, it's helpful when you just look at the program. It's helpful for you to understand what the different things in the program are. Something else that the text editor does that's very helpful is that it automatically indents things in a Python program, things that need to be indented. Now, as you're watching this video, you may not have read very far in the book at this point, so it's possible that you don't really understand what I'm talking about when I say that there are certain things that need to be indented. You'll learn that eventually if you haven't already learned it. But for the sake of demonstration, let me just show you what I'm talking about. One of the things that has to be indented in a Python program is the body of a function. So I'm going to define a function called main, and I'm going to press I'm going to type a colon, and the very next line, when I hit the enter key, the very next line will automatically be indented. And that's because when we define a function, the statements that are in the function, they have to be indented. So idle knows that, and it does that for me automatically. So when I type a statement inside the function, it's indented properly. So I'm going to just continue this little program that I'm writing, and I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to have another statement that requires indentation. I'm going to have a for loop. Once again, you do not have to know what any of this means. I'm just demonstrating that idle automatically indents the things that have to be indented. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and finish this program. I'll type another comment here. And now I'm going to save the program. Always remember to save your program when you make a change. And now I'm going to run the program again. Go to the Run menu and click Run Module. And notice that the idle environment restarts the shell, and here we have the output of the program. The last thing that I'll show you is how to open a program that you've already written, and this is going to be a very intuitive thing for you to do. But I'll just close this text editing window, and remember that this program is called my first program.py. So I close that, and later on, if I want to reopen that program, I go to the File menu and click Open, and then I just look for my first program.py, and there it is, and I'll click Open, and then IDLE opens it in the text editor. So that is, in a nutshell, that's how you use the text editor in IDLE and how you use the Python shell in IDLE. This is a very useful and very simple tool, and I encourage you to learn how to do all this so that you can experiment with Python programming as you work through the book.